Okay, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about hepatitis C. And the reason we're going to talk about hepatitis C is because it is very prolific in prison. It is everywhere. I don't know about most of the whole population, but I'd say with especially the white boys and Mexicans, most people in there have it. And so that's why I want to talk about it and kind of bring awareness to it, because a lot of guys I've noticed are really uneducated about hepatitis C, or are cavalier about what it can actually do to you, and they think it won't happen to them, or because they're not showing symptoms that they're gonna they've somehow overcome it. So hepatitis is basically like inflammation of the liver. You've probably heard of like hepatitis A, B. There's A, B, C, D, and E, but in the United States, A, B, and C are the most common. So like hepatitis A and B, that's like transferred through like fecal matter and like dirty conditions, shit like that. So we're not really talking about that. It's hepatitis C. Hepatitis C can only be transmitted through blood, right? And that's kind of why it's prolific in prison, because a lot of guys in there do drugs, like I said in my other video, and in particular, they do heroin and they use syringes to do it. And syringes are not a common thing to get your hands on, so guys are usually sharing them, and that's how the hepatitis C spreads so easily. So the thing about hepatitis C is it will kill you. It's a very long, slow death, and a lot of guys don't quite realize that, and they think they're not showing any symptoms, and so they must be fine. Like later stage Hep-C symptoms might include like dark urine, fatigue, like constant fatigue, fever, jaundice, which is like when your skin turns yellow, and unexplained fevers. Okay, and just for example, but for the most part, people will carry the Hep C around for a long time without having any symptoms, and that's why it's such a problem. So even me myself, I've had Hep C before. I say had past tense because I've been cured since, which I'll talk about in a minute. But it's just everyone's got it in there, and it's crazy how much people are just so open with just sharing syringes. Like we all have heard that's a no, but in prison it just happens all the time. Like I said, with the well, let's say this: why are people using syringes? Well, for drug addicts, you get more bang for the buck, so to speak. And so, like, if a guy's got a little bit of like heroin, like the only way you'll really feel it is by shooting it. Otherwise, it's kind of a waste. And a lot of guys know that and have that mentality, so they will seek out a syringe and use that way. And there's guys in there with full blown habits, track marks all on their arms, they use all the time. And what they're doing is usually like someone who is a diabetic who goes to get the insulin shot. Every once in a while they'll be able to like sneak one back and bring it back to the housing unit, and they'll sell it to one of the drug users, right? So whoever's got a needle is probably like the only guy with one in the whole housing unit, so he's sharing it with the whole unit. And the reason he does that is because every time he lends it out, it's usual and customary for them to like chip him off a little bit when they shoot it back. So I mean, you just got guys just like sharing with the whole building, and it's fucking gross. I mean, like, why don't they clean it out? I don't know. I mean, maybe they do clean it out. Like, I know Hep C is pretty resilient when it's out. It has to be transferred blood to blood, but it can like live outside of the body for a while, like in a syringe. It can live in there for a long time, and I don't know if rinsing it out is going to be good enough. It clearly isn't. So, but yeah, so it's just a long, slow, painful death, and it another thing people don't realize is even if you don't have symptoms or don't end up with symptoms later down the road, it hugely increases the risk for getting liver cancer down the road. Like if you have Hep C, you have a really strong chance of getting liver cancer like later on down the road. Um, so for me, like so we all know that we had it, right? We all know that we have it in there because you get blood tested all the time. Especially when you first come into prison, you get a blood test and they'll tell you that you have it. But there was no really treatment for it. So like I said, everyone in there knows they have it, but they don't care. They I've heard a lot of guys, they have it. They think that it's just, they downplay it. They think it's not that serious of a disease. They don't know very much about it, and they go, "Oh yeah, we know, we all have it. It's cool. It doesn't really affect you." But it does. It just hasn't affected you yet. So I've had it for several years, and like I said, I knew I had it, and about probably a good 8-9 years of having it, started to feel symptoms, right? About 2019, I noticed I would get fatigued all the time. I would wake up tired. I'd go to bed tired. Middle of the day, I'm tired. Tired. I drink coffee all the time, and it just would not cut it. Like I was just drained of energy, and that was the hepatitis C starting to make my life miserable. So, like I said, there wasn't any treatment or cure for it in prison, not for the longest time. I think, like in extreme cases, they had something that was called interferon, which, from my understanding, is a very painful experience. I think they stick a big ass needle like directly in your liver, like once a week or once a month or something. I'm not really sure, but like I've seen guys in there that get really sick from Hep C. They're dying from it, right? And they're fatigued, they're tired, they're yellow, their eyes are yellow, their skin is yellow, and they look like zombies, and they're in a lot of pain. They can't even get out of bed. That's how sick they are. So it's horrific. Some people go, oh well, you can get it from tattoo needles too. No, I mean, yes, that's possible, but I mean, like, in order for that to happen, you'd have to share the needle, right? But guys don't share tattoo needles, right? You always get your own tattoo needle and use your own ink. So I mean, yeah, it can happen from that, but it's from fucking syringes, okay? So that's what it's from. But yeah, I started noticing I was getting really tired and drained, and it was from the Hep C. And so, thank God, in about 2019, that they came out with a cure. Right, some of the pharmaceutical companies came out with a literal cure for it. Like you take a pill for 90 days and it kills it. It's an antiviral medication. I forgot the name of it. It was Epclusa, and there's one other one, but I took Epclusa, and it's very expensive, but it will cure it. And so the state prison administration realized that this is kind of a problem here because everyone has Hep C, and if they don't do something about it, they're going to have all these chronic care guys that they're going to have to take care of, and it's going to cost a lot of money on the backside. So part of this whole rehabilitation initiative, they authorized the cure for guys. So they said, hey, anyone who has Hep C is eligible for the cure. Sign up now. So I signed up for it. I got the cure. Boom. And it cured me. I've got tested since and it worked. I'm good to go. But you can retract it, or you can recontract Hep C again in the future. And sadly, I know a couple guys that got the cure, right? And then went out and shared needles again. And it's just like, what are you doing? Like, you know how expensive that shit is? I mean, I know the taxpayers are paying for it, but I mean, like, that's your family, your mom and dad are like taxpayers, right? But all that aside, like, I mean, like, that's a life saving cure that you got. But that's how powerful addiction is. It just completely overrides all common sense and rationale. So, but yeah, so that's Hep C. And it's just, I don't know, it's screwed up that some guys just don't take that as seriously as they should. Like I'm so grateful that I had that opportunity to get cured from it. But yeah, so you guys be safe. Have a good 2025. I hope your year is going good so far. Be sure to like and comment and follow your boy. You guys have a good night.